Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 70 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Spanish Grand Prix, uploaded a few days ago, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. That was a very successful episode for the team. Myself and Hamilton came away, spoiler alert, with a very solid 1-2 for Mercedes. A bit of a shock, really, in terms of the conditions being intermediates. Didn't really know what the strategy was going to be like, but it paid off, and we showed why Mercedes as a team, obviously in the V6 era, has been so dominant in real life. Obviously the strategy and the cleverness of the team paid dividends there in terms of what we're able to do on the strategy, even though maybe the pace wasn't exactly there. But we now move forward to the Monaco Grand Prix, hoping to build on that and hoping to, you know, have this be the start basically of the title challenge. We're bringing ourselves back into the front in terms of on paper on the R&D shot. We are right there. It's closing up though with all the teams around us. Also, you can see the likes of Red Bull and Alfa Romeo and Renault upgrading, and Alfa Romeo mainly the ones that are upgrading there with Red Bull as well. Literally, you can't even pick them apart in terms of the pixels on the screen in terms of the R&D chart. So it's all just very close, and we come to obviously now the Monaco Grand Prix, which is all about more the driver than the car, really. So that will also be another spanner in the works. And of course, qualifying at Monaco is the most important qualifying session of the entire season. So let's just dive into it then. Let's go to Saturday and see how we do.
We're here at the magical Circuit de Monaco for one of the most challenging qualifying sessions on the Formula One calendar. Who can add their name to the illustrious list of Monte Carlo pole sitters here today? So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
Right, so delving into Q1 then on the set of medium tyres. Actually, for the very first time this season, I feel like I have the confidence in the Mercedes car and that I should have the pace to get through into Q2 on the middle compounder tyre. And I want to also save enough soft tyres just to have 2 runs maybe in Q2 and Q1, just because I think it is going to be so tight here at Monaco, and it's so easy to lose time basically in every sector. You know, there's so many technical corners that you can get it wrong, and so I want to have that kind of, you know, safety net, if you will. But we barrel into turn 1, just about avoided the wall and a bit of contact there on the left-hand side as we went in so quickly there, and then swiping this through into sector 3. These cars went, you know, they're nearly max cars basically, and they feel so electric around the Monaco streets here. So through swing pool into Raskas, a little bit of a bump there on the left, lock up on the front right, and the car didn't really want to bite in as much on the front end here, and it's very awkward here. I think you can see the car just kind of was a little bit loose on the rear as well, so a bit of a bad ending for us there on that lap. So that wasn't really that quick, I don't think, in my mind. We're P4 still, but I think everyone else is going to go faster, and so I need to go out again on another fresh set of soft tyres. Of course, these will be the tyres that I start the Grand Prix on, so important to hopefully not lock up into that second last corner. We don't, and we're going to slide this car through, have a bit of a more understeery last corner, but I feel like we lost actually less time than we did on that first lap, and across the line we gained about 3/10 there, and that's a much better lap time. People do improve, and so we finish up in P6. If I had actually not done that second lap, I think I would have been very close to being knocked out, so it was a good thing I had that you know, double set of soft tyres to use in Q2, and because I used a set of medium tyres, I have a fresh set, 2 fresh sets to use in Q3. So we're now into the top 10 shootout with Hamilton as well. He's actually right behind me there, so that's a little bit unfortunate for him. He might get a bit of dirty air, but for us into turn 1, you saw there a lot of understeer into turn 1. We narrowly miss making contact with the wall though, and we carry on, and it's been a pretty decent lap in sector 2. Sector 3 now need to be as smooth as we can there over the bump of the chicane in the swing pool section into Raskas, lock up on the front right tyre, but we are able to carry the momentum through and the speed through the last corner really nicely compared to Q2, and we go across line for what will be a pretty damn decent lap time. Into turn 1 though, we get it very crossed up there, and I have to bail out at the last minute, otherwise that would have been a slam dunk into the wall there for me, and so I have what I like to call my Nico Rosberg moment here at the Monaco GP, down the escape road, having to reverse back onto the circuit and cause some yellow flags, so that might have a little bit of tiny disruption with the other people around me. Thankfully Hamilton, my team, had already set a lap time, so I didn't kind of affect the team, didn't affect Hamilton in the same way Rosberg might have done at Mirabeau back in 2014, but that was definitely a little bit scary there because I definitely lost control of the car into turn 1 and was about to spear into the barriers there. I think we slightly hindered the lap time of that Renault that was right behind me into turn 1 once we got back on circuit. I think it was Verstappen there, but we go to the end of the session. I'm still on provisional pole then. Weber's in second, Norris is in third. I've kind of left it a little bit too late though. I've actually had a bit of a mistake there, and I won't have enough time to actually probably go round this lap and get to the checkered flag. I might have done if I didn't have traffic behind me, but you can see here the McLaren, I hold him up a little bit because obviously there's nowhere to go to let him through at this point in the circuit. I can let him through here as we enter the tunnel, so we let through, I think that's Sergio Perez that goes, he's down in P6. We let him through, but because I had to let him go and others later on the lap, I couldn't go full pelt and get round to do a second flyer, and so that will be my one and only lap time. But as we cross the line, we get confirmed pole position at the Monaco Grand Prix, which is very surprising to me. And I'm not going to lie, I think that little Nico Rosberg moment did kind of help me a little bit there, because it meant there were yellow flags for that first run that everyone was doing in Sector 1. Obviously, I did hold up a little bit at Renault. I think there was Verstappen, like I said, and then there were yellow flags for a little bit there. So anyone who was on a lap maybe had to kind of slow down a little bit as they entered their flyer or finished off their flyer, perhaps if they're in Sector 3. And then that second run, like I said, I definitely held up Perez unintentionally. I was just obviously trying to do my outlap, but at Monaco, there's no way to jump out of the way at the hairpin, of course, so I did it as early as I could in the tunnel, and then there's some other cars also in Sector 3, so I think I personally think that definitely did help me a little bit there, because I think all these guys could have gone a little bit faster. In the end, it's actually super close between the entire kind of top 7, really, top 8 in qualifying there, so good to see, but it just means it's going to be a very competitive race tomorrow, and even though we're on pole for Monaco, I think Weber, Perez, even down to Verstappen will have a very good chance there at attacking us. So let's just see. Let's go to Sunday and see how we do on race day.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend downwards towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners at Saint-Devote, and don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. So there's no avoiding it. Let's start by discussing Devon Butler. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be, it's about effective damage limitation.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. The engineer lines up on pole position, and starting alongside is Lucas Faber. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Hamilton, Hülkenberg, Vettel, Leclerc, and Pierre Gasly. Raikkonen, Kvyat, Romain Grosjean, and Butler. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Bottas, Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo, and George Russell. Magnussen and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, it's race day here then at Monaco, and for the first time in this Mercedes car, I'm looking ahead of me at the grid, and all I can see is the safety car and no other F1 car in sight. It's a good feeling, but obviously that's only half the job done here. It's going to be a one-stop strategy, obviously at Monaco. It always is, but it pretty much will be for most of this season, really, for every single race. Soft tire to the mediums. Now, the caveat will be maybe if the undercut's going to work, and also the traffic after you've pit. So that's maybe going to be the fine details of who's going to win out in this Grand Prix. I think it will be very strategic tactic more so than on-track pace, perhaps. But also at the same time, we know the Renault is such a quick car this season. And also, we've not really seen the McLarens turn up too much. Perez is in third place there, so you never know. Anything can really happen. As was shown clearly last episode of the Spanish Grand Prix. I didn't really think we were going to come away with a 1-2, but there you go. But here we go then. We're going to get into this then. Into 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix. The duel in the Formula 1 calendar is underway for Season 4 here, and it's a good start for us off pole position. We cut across Lucas Weber into Turn 1 to cover off Turn 1, and we're going to remain in first place. But he's right up our gearbox, literally pushing us up the hill as we go towards Casino Square. Perez remains in P3 then, so it's all pretty calm and tame at the moment here as we go through Casino down towards Mirabeau here, just trying to get the braking right as we spark away and pull across on the left of the racing line and try and block off Weber into the hairpin now. So it's myself, Weber, Perez, and you've got Verstappen in P4, then it's Lando Norris, then Hulkenberg, I believe that is the Racing Point car, and then it's Lewis Hamilton down in, I think that's still P7. So I think pretty much everyone's kept their grid slot actually, which is a little bit surprising, you know. But as we go through the tunnel, Weber has a mega run. That Renault's looking very quick in a straight line here. We're in overtake mode, but despite that, Weber with the massive dive down the inside and into the chicane we go. I believe he might have just hit the wall a little bit there, but it doesn't matter. The German has got up into first place in the Grand Prix. It's 3 wide behind us, and oh, it's a massive collision there behind us into the blind left-hander, and I think that's Max Verstappen, who's been absolutely smashed into the barrier there. He's out the Grand Prix. Both McLarens have crashed. And yeah, there's confirmation. Verstappen is out of the Monaco Grand Prix. It was 3 wide into that corner. That was never going to work. It doesn't even work 2 wide, let alone 3 wide there. Absolutely unbelievable scenes. Lap number 1, I said it was all very calm and collected up until then. Clearly the drivers were listening to me, so that was insane. We don't actually have a normal replay camera, unfortunately, but we do have this sped up one that I kind of recorded whilst I was racing. And you can see here, just the 2 McLarens just smashed in together and just piled onto Verstappen into the wall. Hamilton, thankfully for us as a team, Hamilton's able to get down the inside and remain kind of uninhibited there in the GP. But my word, what a bit of action there for lap number 1. But now if we go back to our POV, and we're still here in P2 then. So Weber was able to make that pass. I believe he does have a bit of damage on the left-hand side of his front wing, but he's got into first place. Track position is everything here at Monaco, and so this just got a lot harder for us in this Grand Prix. And I must say, it was pretty surprising, actually, the way he got the pass for the lead, actually. I didn't really think he was going to make such a big lunge from that far back, and even the speed he carried through the tunnel was pretty surprising there. So I think our engine is slightly worn out on the first column of our components, but I didn't think it was going to be that detrimental to the engine speed there. So that's definitely a bit of a shock to the system. And now we're here stuck behind Weber. You can see hustling and harrying him into Raskas the last turn. He's clearly, struggling for pace in the corners. Every single right-hander he goes into, he's slower than I am, but we're just unable to really find the space to make a pass right now as we go on all the way to lap number 5 now. And it's been 5 laps of counting of pretty much what you're seeing right now, of me trying to maybe make a half-hearted move into the inside of the last corner, or Raskas hasn't been able to work right now, and I haven't been able to pull off that infamous Raskas pass that I love doing at Monaco. So we now move on to a new lap number 6. We're right up the gearbox into turn 1. Lost a bit of speed on the exit there. You can see that Renault is just really growing the acceleration there. But as we go through then into Casino, closing up in the corners there, the apex there, very close to the wall, and we're right up the gearbox. We're going to go around the outside of Mirabeau. Very unconventional place, and he's actually going to give us the space there, and he's going through. I think he tapped the wall perhaps. We're on the inside the hairpin, and we're going to just about manage to get that through there. The car felt so slow and understeery through that left-hander. We've made it work somehow though, and Weber, kudos to him, gave us the respect there to give us the room. But yep, he's in the pit lane now because I think he had further damage then on the right-hand side of this front wing. So it's obviously not been the most eloquent racing you've ever seen between myself or Weber. Both of us have kind of hit each other and kind of, got the elbows out to make the pass for P1 respectively. Him on lap 1, me on lap 5 there. But it's I guess what you kind of expect for street racing, such wide F1 cars we have now in this modern era. You're going to have to get the elbows out like that some way, and Weber's just come off the worst there. I guess that's a little bit of karma perhaps for him being so aggressive on lap 1 maybe, but now, he's pits and he's got clean air now. He's nowhere near any of the cars, So, like I said before the race started, this clean air could give him an advantage, though. You never know. So, we're going to have to pause on this. Don't think I've just got the advantage now. We're going to have to see how the pace is for the rest of our stint 1 and what the pace is like for him in clean air on hard tyres. But we eventually now come in on the end of lap 13 for that first pit stop. We've gone 1 lap longer than than was initially planned, because Hamilton pit before me on lap number 12. So my engineering team telling me to go 1 lap longer. Didn't really want to, but I just accepted it at the time. That might cause me a little bit of issue in terms of I was pretty slow at the end of that first stint there. One McLaren's followed me, and I think of Sergio Perez. I think Norris had picked on the same lap as Hamilton then, and Hulkenberg as well. So that's 3 cars potentially with an undercut, and here they come. And Hulkenberg, speaking of him, goes past me into turn 1. We're going to narrowly lose out to the German there, and so he's jumped us up into P10. We come out in P11, just slotting in ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who practically pushes me up the hill then as he just gets ahead of Sergio Perez. So I believe that's Hulkenberg who's jumped us, and I think that also includes Weber. I think Weber's already passed us and is already through into the hairpin, you know, because we're here P11. If I look on the minimap there, I believe that's a yellow dot ahead of us. So, like I said, the clean air, so it's a silver lining for Weber. The double front wing breakage on left and right of his front wing, it was actually a blessing in disguise there, because he's pit early onto the hard tyres, and here he is out the tunnel, and he's ahead of all of us. So Weber right now is in a net P1 on the Monaco Grand Prix. Hulkenberg's got up into a net P2, and I'm down to P3 once everyone makes their pit stops here. So we've actually been finessed out of the race lead for not pitting so early, and, you know, basically Weber kind of got very lucky and lucked into a very good strategy after breaking a bit of his front wing there, because here he is now, lap 16. We're caught up behind this massive train now, because there's a lot of cars ahead of us that have yet to pit in this Grand Prix. They started on the mediums, the tyres I'm on right now, and so it's me and Hulkenberg and Hamilton on mediums. Weber's opted for hard tyres, of course, because he pitted so much earlier than us, but he's got track position now, so we have to do it all over again, and we have to try and re-overtake not only him, but also Hulkenberg ahead of me, who's looking pretty damn decent as well in the Racing Point car. And now we face the same issue we had at the very start of the Grand Prix, is being stuck behind the cars, unable to make a pass, because it's so difficult to do so at Monaco here. We try around the outside, we narrowly get squeezed out there by Hulkenberg. If I kept my nose in there, I definitely would have just been squeezed right into the wall by Hulkenberg, but of course he's got his own onus to do that. He's the car in front there with the better racing line, so I backed out of that cordially there. So we remain in P11 as we move on to lap 19 then. So we've got, 20 laps to go in this Grand Prix, so quite a long way, but it seems like there's been so much action already in this GP. But I'm just trying to line up a pass. We go through Simple, get a great exit through the left-hander, and we're just going to go for it here, sending it down the inside into Raskas there. We have to kind of get a little bit aggy with Hulkenberg, but we make it work, and we're up into P10 of the Monaco GP there with a pretty decent pass on Hulkenberg. It was a little bit, you know, rubbing on the inside there, but you can see from Hulkenberg's perspective, it actually doesn't look too bad from his POV. It doesn't really look that bad at all, actually, from Nico's perspective. So he gave me the room. I gave him just enough room to work with there, and we got the move done. It's Monaco. You sometimes do have to get the elbows out and just get stuck in dirty with it sometimes to get the moves done. But now we are on lap number 20, and we're right behind Weber, and once again unable to make a move quite. We're just kind of pushing him through these corners there as we go into Raskas, though. Giovinazzi up ahead going for the pits, and that's going to slow Weber down. We go for a move down the inside. We narrowly make it too wide for a moment there. Weber goes across the curbing, gives us the momentum, and we pull through on the left. It's going to be nearly 3 wide. Oh, I'm pretty sure they went through that Red Bull. As we go to turn 1, Hulkenberg tries to overtake me instead as we got boxed in there. Gasly's come out of nowhere in this GP and slots into P5 then. So somehow now it's Weber, myself, Gasly, Hulkenberg, and then I think it's Hamilton close behind. But we're still chasing after the German here. Can we make a move? Into Mirabo, down the inside we go. Lock up from us. We narrowly just don't hit the wall and carry on. And somehow Gasly's now slipped it down the inside there. I think Weber went so wide that he might have just tapped the wall and might have had to slow down there. And so Gasly's been very opportunistic and has got up one place, and now he's right behind us, and that Red Bull is looking pretty darn fast. Even on overtake mode, the car doesn't seem too quick here, and that Honda power is coming through as Gasly sends one round the outside. We're defending the inside line. We give him the space. He's over the curb, and we remain in P3 just about there. But what a bit of action, and that all started with this bit where very clearly Weber went through Pierre Gasly Gasly. Like, if he had not ghosted through that car, that would have been a mental crash. And then here we go. Oh, it's a bit of a front wing tap there for Weber, as obviously we sent it down the inside. But this is the first incident. I mean, here, that's a slam dunk. I mean, if the game doesn't ghost him, he would have crashed with the Red Bull. I feel like that's karma for this, because here, I feel like he could have just made that corner, you know. Like, if he just left off more, braked a little bit more, he could have definitely made that right-hander. Instead, though, he tries to carry too much momentum there, taps left-hand side, breaks a bit of his front wing, and Gasly, well, he just sailed it down the inside very neatly there. But like I said, I think that's kind of karma in a way, because Weber definitely would have had a monumental crash with Gasly if the game had not ghosted him. But at the same time, I will fully admit that also at the same time, I really went kamikaze into Mirabeau, hope for the best. We just about slowed down the car with the lockup I had, and I just about made the corner. But I feel like Weber probably could, if Weber was a player, he definitely could have made that corner by just letting off even more to make that. But I will definitely take a bit of blame for that. But like I said, it's Monaco. These things can happen. Got to get a little bit feisty and just force the issue sometimes at a street circuit when you want to make the passes here. And it's so far made for a very thrilling Monaco Grand Prix. I mean, the last 2 seasons haven't been exactly thrillers in this career mode at Monaco, but this one certainly has been firecrackers everywhere. And so for now, for the remainder of this Grand Prix, then we're looking to try and defend against Pierre Gasly for P2 as it stands, but it will be P1 because Lance Stroll will eventually make a pit stop here. But as we go on to lap 25, so far we've had a decent effort at keeping Gasly at bay. But into turn 1 here, we go so hot there, and we just narrowly miss slamming it into turn 1 like we did in qualifying. And now Gasly has a good run up the hill to the inside into Casino Square, and he goes for the move, and I think he's going to get it done. We tried to go down the inside. It's so close. Made a bit of contact with his side pod barge board there. Down the inside into Mirabeau. Lock up from us. Gasly round the outside, though. He's got the better line, and he's going to have the racing line into the hairpin, and we have to concede that. And he's up into P2 of this GP, and that will turn into P1 in this Grand Prix. He's on the hard tyres as well, and I feel like he's made the kind of more long-term better choice, because on lap 30, he just pulls away. My tyre wear kicks in. Hulkenberg can't really pass me, and so we're left here stuck in P2. Gasly isn't up into P1. As I said, Lance Stroll had to make a pit stop still, so out of nowhere, he was not fighting for even the top 5 for most of this Grand Prix, but he's come through, the Frenchman, to lead the Monaco Grand Prix, and he will go on to win the Monaco Grand Prix as we transition very smoothly onto lap 39 then, but we've just not had the pace to close up or even keep him quite honest there, as he's just flown away in P1, but we remain in P2 ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. Hamilton is in P4, so all in all, it's been a very solid day for Mercedes. Remember, Verstappen DNF'd out this Grand Prix. Weber, after that incident, had to pit, and he's out the point, so this is a massive day for me in the championship for the drivers, and it's a massive day for Mercedes in the constructors, and so we come through after a nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix for second place then in the end. It'll have to do, we'll have to do.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, you know? I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
So like I said, Lucas Weber didn't even make it into the points in the end because he had to pit off that damage there. And so we do take the lead of the Drivers' Championship by 1 point there to Lucas Weber. So it's me and him locking horns at the top for the very first time in a Grand Prix. Me and him had a battle for a long while, and we're right there at the top of the championship. So this is all brewing up rather nicely to be, I mean, I would love it if this is going to be a season-long thing. Me versus Lucas Weber, our old F2 teammate there. But you can see Mercedes Mercedes getting the lead of the constructors. That is massive for us. So early on the season, we were so far off the pace in the first few races, and we're now leading the championship. Absolute bonkers stuff there, and that's what you get when you go to Monaco. You get absolute chaos in the F1 game. I will admit, obviously, it was a little bit tetchy. Yes, I'm sure that those of you will say, oh, I drove very aggressively there. I will admit, I was very aggressive in that Grand Prix, but, you know, the game didn't penalise me for that. We just about got away with it, and, and Weber was equally aggressive towards me. Gasly was very aggressive towards me as well when he made the pass on me, so it just goes all round. It's really just, you know, what happens in Monaco, really, so you live to fight another day. But from my side, it was a very enjoyable Grand Prix, at least, to record, and it sets us up for a really awesome European portion of the season after we come back from the Canadian GP next episode. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, be sure to hit that like button. At the end here, we do splash the cash on 2 gearbox reliability upgrades. Like I said, we're continuing to make sure this car is reliable for a season-long fight, so that's what we're doing. I'm sticking to that promise, and so we buy 2 gearbox upgrades to try and improve the durability of the car in that kind of sense. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below of that episode. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed this day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.